Donald Trump suffered acute delusions on Truth Social, saying endless things that are untrue about Los Angeles, as well as the big, beautiful bill. I want to go through it just to show you the level of disinformation that's being spread and try to interject a little bit of truth here. Trump posting to Truth Central, quote, Los Angeles was safe and sound for the last 2 nights. Our great National Guard, with a little help from the Marines, put the LA police in a position to effectively do their job. They all worked well together. But without the military, Los Angeles would be a crime scene like we haven't seen in years. Governor Gavin Newsom had totally lost control of the situation. He should be saying thank you for saving his ass instead of trying to justify his mistakes and incompetence. So what's the truth? Because that's the story that MAGA wants to tell about what's been happening in LA. The truth is, yes, 700 Marines were deployed. Thousands of National Guard troops were deployed to downtown LA in the middle of protests. But there is zero evidence that LA was going to descend into widespread violence or chaos without them. LA Mayor Karen Bass didn't ask for them. Governor Gavin Newsom didn't ask for them. The entire thing was contained to a few block radius. And critically, overwhelmingly peaceful protests. City officials had a curfew in place. LAPD made, it seems to be dozens of arrests on looting or violence, which is the right thing to do. If you show up and loot, you're going to get arrested, and now you're going to be in a legal fiasco. If you're going to do violence, you deserve to be arrested, and you're going to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. That's not what protests are about. National Guard deployments are only legal when protecting federal property or in limited other circumstances, which we've gone over ad nauseum this week. And federal judges are now reviewing, did Trump legally overstep the constitutional limits? Trump's story about the great savior of Los Angeles, despite Newsom and Bass wanting it to go to hell, completely fabricated. Trump then on the tax bill, quote, in all caps, the great big beautiful bill will grow the economy like it has never grown before. At the same time, it is cutting expenses by $1.6 trillion. It puts our country on the right track, plus make America great again. The whole savings thing is the biggest cherry picking that I've ever seen. What Trump is doing is he's saying, hey, look, the bill includes 1.6 trillion in spending cuts. And he says, so we're going to save $1.6 trillion. But he doesn't mention the tax cuts, which will cost the country significant revenue. Independent analysis, you look at the CBO, you look at PolitiFact, you look at Penn Wharton, they estimate that the tax cuts that Trump wants to include in the bill will increase the deficit by 3 to 4 trillion. So Trump goes, we're going to save 1.6, right? But you're going to add 3 to 4 trillion in expensive. Imagine if I came to you and I said, hey, I found a great way for our household to save money. We're going to cut all our grocery spending. We're cutting all grocery spending. We just found savings, but I don't mention we're going to be eating out instead. And I don't include the cost of eating out. Well, sure. If you just say we're not spending any more money on groceries, it sounds like we're saving money. If we acknowledge that we're going to start eating out for every meal, you say, oh, there's another side to the equation. It's extraordinarily dishonest. And there's a few Republicans that have been willing to admit it. Congressman Thomas Massie, Senator Rand Paul, Senator Ron Johnson. They're saying, well, you've got to subtract out the increase in the debt. You've got to account for the increase in spending. So Trump just lying to his followers on Truth Central, no evidence that LA would have collapsed into a crime scene without his involvement. No evidence that the big, beautiful bill actually presents net savings. But his supporters love this stuff. And my guess is, because it's the way it has always happened in the past, if you go out and talk to Trump supporters, they will parrot this. They'll go, no, there's 1.6 trillion in savings there. Well, what about the increased expenses? Haven't heard a thing about it. Every time we call out Donald Trump's authoritarianism, the right calls it media hysteria. But I want to remind you that Trump admits he's looking for ways to defy the Constitution and maybe even pursue another term. Now, if you don't know the bias behind your news, you might believe, oh, Trump's just teasing us. There's nothing here. Go to ground.news/Pacman and see how media bias influences more than your perception from Trump's policy and ability to understand and undermine constitutional norms. I've been with Ground News for years now because this is what they do. They expose the hidden agendas behind reporting sources and make it easy to compare coverage and understand critical issues. Even better, if I'm reading a story on another site, the Ground News browser extension will flag the source's political bias and give me other reports on the same story so I can verify the information. My viewers get 40% off the same unlimited Vantage plan that I use, so you get their top tier plan for just $5 a month. Go to ground.news/Pacman. The link is in the description, or scan the QR code.